just went and made a new dinosaur?
Probably not a good idea.
And remember, if something chases you,
What kind of dinosaur they cooked up in that lab?
The movie begins with two brothers named Zach and Gray, who are getting ready to go on a trip. They're going to spend the upcoming week with their aunt, Claire, and the trip will be to Jurassic World, the dinosaur theme park. Their parents drop them off at the airport, and their mum, Karen, asks Zach to take care of his younger brother. Zach and Gray board the ferry that will take them to Isla Nublar, which is home to many different species of dinosaurs. When they arrive on the island, they're met by a woman named Zara, who works as Claire's assistant. She gives them VIP passes so they can visit the entire park without waiting in lines. Meanwhile, Claire is with a group of important investors, explaining that park visitors were no longer impressed by the number of dinosaurs. Over time, demand for the park increased, and so did the number of visitors. So to meet the increasing demand, the scientists succeeded in developing and engineering new dinosaur genes, and they created a new hybrid dinosaur called the Indominus Rex. When fully grown, it's expected to reach a length of 15 meters, which means it would be even larger than the T-Rex. After Claire finishes her meeting with the important guests, she goes to meet her nephews, Zach and Gray. It's the first time they've seen each other in 7 years. In the same area, there are life-size dinosaur statues and real dinosaur bones on display for kids to play around. Claire tells the boys that Zara will be staying with them today, and that later tonight, after she finishes work, she'll meet them for dinner. Gray feels upset because he wanted to spend the whole week with his aunt. Claire notices he's disappointed, and promises she'll spend the entire next day with them. She then leaves the boys and heads to the control room, which is full of security cameras and monitoring systems for all the dinosaurs. Later, Claire goes to meet a man named Simon Masrani, the owner of the park. They board a helicopter and fly to a location called Paddock 11, which is where the Indominus Rex is being kept. Simon wanted to see the new hybrid dinosaur himself. He tells Claire that Jurassic World exists to remind people how small humans are in comparison to such magnificent creatures. His goal is to inspire humility and remove arrogance from people's hearts. Claire then tells him that the Indominus Rex is smarter than any other dinosaur in the park. Just a few days after it was born, it already figured out where to get its food, and it almost ate an employee's hand. Simon notices a part of the glass enclosure is cracked, and Claire tells him that the dinosaur tried to break the glass. Then we finally see the Indominus Rex, and Simon is amazed by its appearance. Claire explains that the Indominus had a sibling, but it killed and ate it. Simon tells Claire that there's a former US Navy officer at the park who's conducting research, and his name is Owen Grady. He asks Claire to take Owen on a tour of the facilities, so he can use his expertise to make sure the park's infrastructure is safe. We're then introduced to Owen, and we see him training his pack of dinosaurs, called velociraptors. One of the raptors is named Blue, and we see it chasing a pig until Owen commands it to stop. And surprisingly, the raptors obey him and follow his every word. Owen takes them to another area and feeds the raptors, as a reward for following his orders. After the training session ends, we meet a man named Vic Hoskins, who suggests to Owen that they start using the raptors for military experiments, with the goal of using them in warfare. He wants Owen's help with this idea, but Owen refuses, saying that the raptors are still wild animals, not weapons. However, Hoskins doesn't give up and starts arguing with Owen, trying to convince him of the plan. A pig escapes from its cage and starts running through the raptor enclosure. One of the staff members tries to save it, but Blue, one of the raptors, knocks him into the enclosure. The employee is now in serious danger, surrounded by the 4 raptors, and is moments away from being attacked. Owen quickly steps in and tries to calm the raptors, buying time for the man to escape to safety. He shouts to Barry to close the gates, and Owen manages to run out just in time before the doors shut. Luckily, Owen's training had a strong influence on the raptors, so no one was hurt. Owen then warns the employee to never turn his back on the raptor paddock. Meanwhile, on the other side of the park, Gray is enjoying the trip, watching kids play with a dinosaur called a triceratops, while Zach is bored and wants to ditch Zara. He takes advantage of the moment when Zara is distracted and starts running off. Gray follows him. The two head over to watch the T-Rex feeding show, and Gray gets terrified when he sees the dinosaur eat a goat in front of everyone. At the same time, Claire meets up with Owen and asks him to come with her, so she can show him the new hybrid dinosaur they created in the lab. Owen asks Claire why they need his help, and she tells him it's because he's the only one who might be able to help improve the Indominus Rex's behaviour before it's introduced in public shows, since Owen has experience with raptors and knows how to deal with them. But Owen gets frustrated and tells her, "I don't control the dinosaurs. I have a relationship with them built on mutual respect." Then, taking a jab at their past, he says, "And that's exactly why you and I never had a second date, because there's no mutual respect between us." Claire gets annoyed and tells him, "I didn't want a second date anyway." After a bit of back and forth, Claire tells him she'll wait for him in the car. But before she leaves, she tells him to change his shirt, because the Indominus Rex can pick up on smells. Meanwhile, Zach and Gray continue exploring the park and taking a tour around the island. Now they're sitting in an amphitheater, watching a show featuring the Mosasaurus, the largest marine predator in the world. To lure it out of the water, the staff use a great white shark as bait. Within seconds, the Mosasaurus leaps from the water and swallows the shark in one massive bite, splashing water all over the audience. After the show, the crowd heads down to the underwater viewing area. Back at Paddock 11, Claire asks one of the staff to feed the Indominus Rex, so the dinosaur will appear and Owen can finally get a look at it. Owen is shocked when he sees the method they've been using to raise the Indominus Rex. He says that a dinosaur raised in isolation and completely alone usually ends up with aggressive and unpredictable behavior when it grows up. Unlike the raptors, who were raised together as a group and lived like siblings. That upbringing taught the raptors how to coexist and function socially, and Owen has been with them since birth, which is why he trusts them. But in the case of the Indominus Rex, its only relationship is with the feeding crane. While Claire and Owen are talking, something strange happens. They're expecting the dinosaur to show up when food is delivered, but it doesn't appear. Claire tries to locate it using the thermal sensors, but the cameras can't detect its position. Owen notices deep claw marks on the wall inside the enclosure, and both of them start to believe that the Indominus Rex has escaped. Claire mentions that the dinosaur has a tracking implant on its back, and she runs to the control room to check its exact location. On the way, she calls Lowry and asks him to send her the coordinates of the dinosaur. Meanwhile, Owen and two park workers enter the jungle to investigate the claw marks they saw on the wall. To their shock, they discover that the Indominus climbed a 12-meter high wall and escaped. But when Lowry checks the tracking system, he tells Claire that the Indominus is supposedly still inside the paddock. He also informs her that some personnel have entered the forest, so he orders his team to call them back. Vivian, from the control room, tries to contact Owen and the others, and orders them to leave the forest immediately. They start trying to escape, but suddenly the Indominus Rex appears, blocking their path. It begins chasing them, and quickly kills the first worker. The second one manages to open the gate and escape. Back in the control room, the team makes a critical decision. They order the gate to be closed, even though Owen is still inside, because they must prevent the Indominus from escaping at all costs. The gate starts closing, but Owen escapes just in time. However, the Indominus breaks through the gate and escapes into the jungle. Owen hides under a vehicle, while one of the park workers tries to hide behind another car, but the Indominus Rex picks up his scent and quickly finds him. It smashes the vehicle and eats the worker. After seeing what happened, Owen gets an idea. He cuts a fuel hose and pours gasoline all over himself to mask his scent from the dinosaur. Fortunately, the plan works. The Indominus can't smell him and eventually walks away. Meanwhile, Claire arrives at the control room and sends a special operations team to capture the Indominus Rex. Barry receives the emergency alert. Hoskins is with him and quickly realizes what's going on. He sees this as a perfect opportunity to test the raptors for military purposes. At the same time, a group of park visitors are on a boat tour, passing by some of the herbivorous dinosaurs. While that's happening, the asset containment unit is already en route to capture the Indominus. Owen reaches the control room, clearly angry, and tells Claire that the claw marks on the wall were a trap. The Indominus tricked them into thinking it escaped when it was still inside. "It fooled you," he says. Claire tries to calm him down, saying, "It's just an animal." But Owen snaps back, "No, it's a highly intelligent animal. It's a threat to everyone on this island." Then Owen sees the live camera feed, showing that the soldiers sent to capture the Indominus are only equipped with standard weapons. Simon Masrani tells Owen, "We can't kill the Indominus. We've invested $26 million on that dinosaur." But Owen insists that they cancel the mission because the soldiers are not properly armed and will definitely die. His request is denied and the mission goes ahead anyway. One of the soldiers finds a chunk of meat on the ground with the tracking device inside it, which means the Indominus had located the tracker and removed it deliberately. Even worse, the dinosaur had been hiding among the trees, waiting for the perfect moment to ambush the soldiers. The team tries to attack it with electric stun weapons, but they have no effect at all. In fact, it only makes the Indominus more aggressive. One by one, the soldiers are killed. Everyone in the control room watches in horror as the massacre unfolds on the screens, seeing their co-workers die, completely helpless to stop it. Owen turns to Claire and tells her, "You need to evacuate the island, and now." He warns her that the Indominus Rex is a killing machine and will attack any living thing that moves. Claire is unable to make a decision. If she listens to Owen and evacuates, the park could be shut down permanently. Owen remains firm, saying the only way to stop the Indominus Rex is to kill it. But Claire doesn't agree with that plan, so Owen decides to walk away, leaving them to deal with the disaster on their own. Claire then makes the decision to shut down the entire northern sector of the island and evacuate all the visitors from that area. Meanwhile, Simon Masrani visits the genetics lab where the dinosaur was created and confronts Dr. Henry Wu, the head geneticist. Simon orders him to secure the genetic blueprint of the Indominus Rex, because Wu is the one responsible for creating this dangerous hybrid. But Dr. Wu tells him, "You asked for a bigger, scarier, more impressive dinosaur. I simply gave you what you asked for. Creating an animal like this without side effects was impossible." Back in the park, Zack and Gray are still exploring freely. Taking advantage of the fact that Zara is no longer with them, suddenly the operator in charge of the gyrospheres receives a call with orders to halt all vehicle tours and evacuate the visitors immediately. But the operator doesn't realise that Zack and Gray had already boarded a gyrosphere and are now out in the park. Inside the vehicle, the boys receive an automated alert telling them to exit the gyrosphere and return to the park. But Zack convinces Gray to ignore the warning and continue the tour so they can enjoy the adventure among the dinosaurs. Meanwhile, Claire calls Zara and tells her to find the boys and bring them back to the hotel immediately. But Zara tells her that the kids are missing and she can't find them. Claire then calls Zack directly and tells him to return to the hotel at once. But Zack refuses, saying he wants to enjoy the trip. The call signal cuts out and Claire doesn't get a chance to explain how serious the situation really is. Claire tells Lowry to check if there's any gyrosphere still moving in the Valley of the Dinosaurs. Lowry manages to locate the kids using the tracking system. Claire immediately orders Vivian to send a rescue team to get the boys out. But the problem is, all the security personnel are currently busy chasing the Indominus Rex, and it'll take time before anyone becomes available. So Claire decides to go herself to rescue her nephews. Before leaving, she runs into Owen and asks him to come with her to help save the boys. Meanwhile, Zack and Gray come across a damaged gate marked with a restricted area sign. The gate is clearly broken, and it looks like a dinosaur forced its way in. Even though it's clearly dangerous, Zack insists they explore the area, despite Gray's protests and his attempts to convince Zack to turn back and listen to Claire. But Zack, being stubborn, refuses, and they head inside. Suddenly, they encounter 4 dinosaurs known as ankylosaurs, but moments later, the Indominus Rex appears, chasing and then attacking the ankylosaurs. While chasing the ankylosaurs, the Indominus Rex accidentally kicks the kid's gyrosphere with its foot. Zack tries to regain control and escape, but the vehicle keeps getting knocked around during the chaos. The Indominus struggles to bite through the ankylosaurus because of its thick, armoured shell, so it flips the dinosaur onto its back and bites off its head. Zack and Gray are terrified, still inside the gyrosphere, believing they're safe, but not for long. Claire tries calling Zack, but he can't answer. The gyrosphere is now upside down and he's struggling to move. The Indominus approaches the gyrosphere, smashes the glass and tries to bite into it, but its jaws aren't wide enough to swallow the whole vehicle. Frustrated, the dinosaur lifts the gyrosphere in its mouth and slams it repeatedly into the ground, trying to break it open. Inside, Zack and Gray manage to unbuckle themselves and escape through the broken side. They run as fast as they can, eventually reaching the edge of a waterfall. With no other choice, Zack and Gray decide to jump into the water below. They save themselves at the last second, swimming until they finally reach safe ground. They're both in shock, hardly believing they're still alive. Meanwhile, Claire and Owen arrive at the Valley of the Dinosaurs and find dozens of dinosaurs, dead or injured. Among them is a badly wounded Apatosaurus, lying on the ground, barely clinging to life. Owen kneels beside it, trying to comfort it in its final moments, and Claire is deeply affected, watching it die slowly. It's the first time Claire has ever been this close to a dinosaur, and she starts to realise they're living creatures that feel pain, not just attractions for a theme park. Owen notices something strange. The Indominus Rex didn't eat any of the dinosaurs. He's simply killing for sport, unlike any normal predator. They walk further into the valley. Claire finds Zack's phone near the broken gyrosphere and is shocked, thinking the boys are dead. But Owen notices footprints on the ground and realises they must have jumped into the water, meaning they're still alive. So the two of them get ready to go after them. Meanwhile, Zack and Gray discover a hat belonging to one of the workers who had been killed. Then Zack spots a damaged old Jeep, and he realises they've reached the original Jurassic Park ruins. They explore the abandoned visitor centre and find several broken down vehicles inside. Zack manages to repair one of the old Jeeps, and the boys drive off to escape. Back in the control room, Simon Masrani is tracking the Indominus Rex and notices that it's moving south, directly toward the main visitor area. Just then, Hoskins appears, claiming that he's been studying the raptors for years and now believes they can be used to track down the Indominus and kill it. But Simon Masrani tells Hoskins that he will not allow the raptors to be released on the island. Instead, he decides to pilot a helicopter himself, taking a team of armed soldiers with him to eliminate the Indominus Rex. Meanwhile, Owen and Claire arrive at the old Jurassic Park compound and find a shirt belonging to one of the boys on the ground. Owen tries to start one of the old Jeeps to catch up with the kids, but suddenly, the Indominus Rex appears. The dinosaur approaches the vehicle, then backs off for a moment, making Owen and Claire think they're safe. but then it lunges again, smashing through the roof of the building. Owen and Claire run for their lives as the Indominus chases them. At the same time, Masrani's helicopter arrives, and Vivian radios the exact location of the Indominus. Simon gives the order to engage, and the helicopter descends lower so that the gunner can get a clear shot at the dinosaur, but the gunfire causes complete chaos. To protect itself, the Indominus Rex smashes through the aviary fence, releasing a massive flock of pterosaurs. The flying creatures burst out into the sky and attack Simon's helicopter, causing it to crash inside the park and explode, killing everyone on board. Meanwhile, Owen and Claire run into the jungle, trying to protect themselves from the incoming pterosaurs. Zack and Gray make it out of the jungle and are near the main gate when they see the flying dinosaurs soaring above them. They start running faster, trying to escape. Zara calls Claire and tells her she just saw the boys on the security cameras and they're heading toward the main visitor center. Claire tells Zara to stay where she is and that she and Owen are on their way. Claire and Owen jump into a beach buggy and race toward the park. The pterosaurs have already reached the main plaza, causing mass panic and destruction. A massacre breaks out as the flying dinosaurs attack the visitors, and many people are killed in the chaos. In the middle of this chaos, Owen and Claire arrive at the main plaza. At the same time, Zara finds Zack and Gray and tries to get them to safety, but she doesn't make it in time. Zara is picked up and dropped into the water, and several pterosaurs dive in after her. One of them grabs her, but just then the Mosasaurus leaps out of the lagoon, and in one bite it devours both Zara and the pterosaurs. Meanwhile, the security team is firing at the flying dinosaurs. Claire shouts as she searches for her nephews. Zack and Gray appear, but a pterosaur is chasing them. Just as it's about to reach them, the soldiers shoot it down. At the same time, Owen is attacked by another pterosaur, but Claire jumps in and shoots it with a pistol, saving him. Owen thanks her for the help, and Claire finally sees her nephews alive and safe. After the chaos, Hoskins enters the control room, using the fact that Simon Masrani is dead. The first thing he does is fire the original operations team and replace them with his own private security personnel. Shortly after, Lowry calls Claire and tells her what's happening. He informs her that Hoskins plans to use the raptors. When Owen hears this, he's furious. He and Claire jump in a car and rush to the raptor paddock. When they arrive, they find Hoskins already there. Owen walks up and punches him in the face, demanding that he leave. Hoskins responds saying, "This mission will happen with or without you, and there's no other way to save lives." After thinking it over, Owen reluctantly agrees to help, because he knows he's the only one the raptors trust. The plan is simple. Release the raptors, let them track the Indominus, and when they engage, the soldiers will move in and open fire to finish the job. Owen gives a strict order. No one is allowed to shoot at the raptors under any circumstances. Claire tells her nephews to hide inside a military truck, and she stays in the driver's seat, ready to escape if things go wrong. Owen lets the raptors sniff a piece of meat that had the Indominus Rex's tracking signal, then he releases them into the jungle. Owen and a team of soldiers follow the raptors, watching everything through cameras mounted on the raptors' heads. The raptors move quickly, eventually stopping at a certain spot. Owen informs the team they've found something. The soldiers get ready, aiming their weapons, and then the Indominus Rex appears. But instead of attacking, the raptors begin communicating. Owen immediately realizes something is wrong. He figures it out. The Indominus was made using raptor DNA. Suddenly, the raptors turn against the humans. Hoskins panics and orders the team to open fire on the Indominus. They shoot it, but the dinosaur gets back up unharmed and escapes into the jungle. Now the team has to deal with the raptors, who have officially turned against them. Owen finds one of the raptors and tries to reconnect with it, but another soldier throws a grenade, killing the dinosaur. The soldiers realize the plan has completely failed and start running, leaving Owen and Barry behind in the jungle. Barry hides inside a hollow tree trunk, but one of the raptors finds him and tries to attack. Owen quickly jumps on his motorcycle and drives fast, trying to distract the raptor and lure it away from Barry. Meanwhile, Claire is watching everything unfold on the security monitors and tries to keep her nephews calm inside the truck. Suddenly, a wounded soldier stumbles in, his hand covered in blood. Claire screams in fear, and the soldier warns them all to run immediately. The injured soldier tries to get into the vehicle with them, but suddenly, a raptor appears and kills him. Claire immediately drives off, but another raptor jumps onto the vehicle and smashes the window. Claire manages to shoot it and take it down, but the other raptors don't give up and keep chasing them. Claire manages to outsmart and escape one of them, but Blue is still after them. Gray finds a taser in the truck, and he and Zack use it to stun Blue, buying them just enough time to escape. Just then, Owen arrives on his motorcycle, telling Claire to follow him. Meanwhile, back in the control room, the remaining staff want to evacuate for their safety. Vivian tells Lowry that there's a rescue boat waiting to take them off the island, but Lowry refuses to leave, saying he's going to stay until he knows the island is safe. Owen, Claire, Zack, and Gray finally arrive at the genetics lab and go inside outside to hide from the raptors. When they enter the laboratory, they're surprised to find Hoskins already inside with his team. Collecting all research data, they plan to take it away for further experimentation. Claire asks him about Dr. Henry Wu, and Hoskins tells her that Wu is part of his team, and that they intend to use the Indominus DNA to develop weapons for military use. Just then, one of the raptors appears and attacks Hoskins. Owen and the others run for their lives, but the raptors are chasing them. Gray activates a holographic dinosaur projection, which distracts one of the raptors long enough to give them time to escape, but as soon as they make it outside the building, 2 more raptors are waiting for them. Owen tries one last time to reach Blue, reminding her of their bond and everything they've been through. It's Owen's final hope of surviving. At that moment, the Indominus Rex appears and begins to communicate with the raptors, but then Blue turns and chooses to stand with Owen. The Indominus Rex kicks Blue. The other 2 raptors join forces and attack the Indominus. Owen joins them, opening fire on the hybrid dinosaur to help the raptors. Meanwhile, Claire comes up with an idea. She takes her nephews to safety first. The Indominus kills the other 2 raptors and moves in to finish off Owen, but he escapes and hides with the kids, though the Indominus soon tracks them down. At the same time, Claire contacts Lowry from her radio and orders him to open paddock 9. Lowry is shocked and doesn't agree with the idea, but eventually follows the command and opens the gate. As the paddock door opens, Claire lights a red flare and waves it in front of the darkness. From the shadows, the T-Rex emerges, the second most powerful predator. Claire runs with the flare, then throws the flare directly at it. The 2 massive predators clash in an explosive battle. The T-Rex starts to lose the fight, getting thrown to the ground and nearly defeated. Blue reappears, and together T-Rex and Blue launch a coordinated attack on the Indominus Rex. Claire, Owen, Zach, and Gray try to stay alive amid the chaos of this clash of titans. T-Rex and Blue manage to drive the Indominus back toward the edge of the water. Then, in a sudden moment, the Mosasaurus leaps out of the lagoon and drags it underwater. Despite being powerful, the Indominus Rex stands no chance in the water against the Mosasaurus, and just like that, the battle ends. The T-Rex decides to leave Blue and the humans alone. Blue shares a quiet farewell with Owen. The next morning, everyone is evacuated from the island, receiving medical care. Zach and Gray's parents arrive, and Claire embraces her sister, relieved to see her safe. She leaves the boys with their family and goes to talk to Owen. After everything they've been through, Claire and Owen decide they're not going to part ways again. Back on Isla Nublar, the T-Rex roars from the mountaintop. Has he now become the king of the island? Or will humans return to try and take back control? And with that, we come to the end of the episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one. Bye bye!